Hello out there in podcast land. This is Tammy Terrell, Texas Desert Rose. Thank you for joining me once again. Gonna have a little bit different of a slant this show. I hope you enjoy it and find it useful. Like, follow, share, comment, all that other stuff. It's always very helpful to help to help my page. So May is Mental Health Month, and since we all have it or want it, and some of us want to work in it, which is what today is about. I am joined by Jennifer Burrows, North Central Texas College. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, good morning, Tammy. Well, it's morning here in Gainesville, Texas, in the United States.
Yes. Yeah, it's, let's see, what time is it now? It's almost 6 p.m. here in Bahrain. And, Jennifer approached me about having a show that can be posted on the North Central Texas College website regarding mental health, and she and I talked about it and said, you know what, let's talk about our own walks at becoming mental health therapists. We're both licensed professional counselors. You are LPC, right, Jennifer?
I am actually working on my LPC.
Okay.
I'm about to take that exam.
Good for you.
But I've been in the field for quite some time now and had my training quite some time ago, and getting prepared to take that examination. So it's been a great journey and a great process, and so we just feel like it's really beneficial to talk about mental health. Yes.
Well, and I'm approached, and I'm sure you are too, by many who are like, hey, I think I might want to do this. What do I need to do? How hard is it? How long does it take? And so I think it'd be great to actually put this out there on a show. What do you think, Jennifer?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I do, I get the privilege of working with students, and so I do have a number of students that come and, want to be counselors or want to be in the helping profession. And so, we can definitely talk about what that process looks like and what all it entails, for sure.
Okay. So, let me start us out, and certainly feel free to ask me as well. What made you decide that this is what you wanted to do, that you wanted to go this therapy route?
Well, I always knew I wanted to work with students and help others. Mainly students was the population I wanted to work with, but along the way I decided that early in my college career that I really wanted to work, with people and just the helping profession. And so I didn't really know I was going counseling until I finished my bachelor's degree in psychology. And so that's when I decided to actually do my actual training in that. What about you? So how did you decide that you wanted to be a therapist?
Well, mine's a little bit more of a sordid tale, I guess. Mm-hmm. I found that a lot of in my counseling classes, a lot of my colleagues, the other students, they had just decided to be a therapist, and then as a part of the training, they went into therapy because it became a requirement, and I wholly agree with that requirement, right? Mm-hmm. There's a saying that the best way to find a therapist is to ask who theirs is. In other words, they need to have done their own, to know what it's like to be in that chair, but also to do their own work. We all have our shadows that we need to work through, right? And mine was actually the opposite. I got into counseling with the advent of my marriage. Nobody ever told me, you get this idealized honeymoon idea about getting married in that first year. You're thinking it's going to be wonderful. And I have found the opposite was true, not just personally, but professionally, that first year is actually so very difficult. And so not because of the person I was with, but what happens is even if you dated for a long time, when you get married, skeletons, your expectations, anything that you walk through as a child comes up and often comes out at the person that you're with. And so it was, suffice it to say, we made it about 6 months before I was like, okay, I've got to get some counseling. And I had never been before. I felt so overwhelmed, scared, felt broken, didn't know what I was going to do. Well, that couples counseling ended up in individual counseling, which I did with my therapist for 5 years, some hardcore, what they call family of origin trauma work. And one day I looked up at my therapist and I said, I think I want to help other people feel the way I do, because my life completely did a turnaround. And she said, I've been waiting for you to decide that. And from there is history, and, decided with an undergraduate in business to go into the master's program at at University of North Texas, and get my master's from there. And that was absolutely, I enjoyed all but maybe one class. I loved every class I had to take. And at the time when I was going through, you did your classes, and there was a 2,000 hour internship requirement rather than the 3,000 now. And that 2,000 hours, I worked at a residential treatment center, learned a whole lot from that. Children and adolescents who were inpatient. A lot of them were failed adoptions that didn't work in an adoption situation, or foster care, or any of those things. So I learned a whole lot. And then I also did my hours at Head Start of Greater Dallas, which was also a totally different but an incredible experience. And then my first job as a licensed therapist was as an advisor counselor at North Central Texas College.
Yes. And so that's how I had the pleasure of meeting you.
Yes.
When you were filling in for us every now and then after you worked with us full time. So
yes. Because I
exciting.
eventually opened a counseling agency. I think that's when you and I met, is that during that, when I had opened the counseling agency itself, that I was doing some fill-in for Robert Adams, God rest his soul, and to never replace, but to try to stand in and help out with the flow for advising. So yes. Have you ever? Well, I know you're about to sit for your exam, but you've been in the field for a while. Have you ever thought maybe this was a bad decision?
Not necessarily in my role here at North Central Texas College. I've always really enjoyed most everything that I've been able to do here. I've actually had the opportunity to work at our rural campuses, and then also at our more populated campuses here in Denton County and here in Cook County. So I don't know that I've really thought, I shouldn't really be doing this, but rather it has awakened myself to the need to work on myself, and how important it is to work on my things and work on my own mental health and my self-awareness. And so I spent a good year and a half with a counselor that helped me a lot through some struggles after I had a divorce, and that really helped me see how important it is to take care of myself, and those of us who have the need to help others, a lot of times or sometimes, not a lot of times, but sometimes we neglect ourselves and we don't take care of ourselves properly because we enjoy and we get so much fulfillment from wanting to help others. And so that was a huge piece to me of putting my puzzle together to make me realize that I really did need to get my license, and I really needed to be, have that certification. And so I've been working on that the past year or so, and situating myself to where I can take that examination and then have some more supervised hours. I did have that 3,000-hour internship through my program, so I finished up my master's degree at Hardin-Simmons University in Abilene.
Yeah.
And that's where I had finished my bachelor's degree at as well. And so one of my professors in the undergraduate program, she just approached me and asked if I'd ever thought about, counseling. And so I was thinking about it. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do in the industry with a bachelor's in psychology. And so when I applied to the program and got in, and did love all of my classes, just all of the classes about counseling and systems and theory and all of those things are just fascinating to me. And so so it was really kind of after the whole training process that I realized how important it is to work on myself. So
very much.
A little bit kind of reverse of a little bit of your story, but anyways, I'm very fortunate to have had a great counselor work with me and just pour into me and encourage me along that way as well, to really think about why I want to be licensed and just have different and more opportunities available. And so anyway, with May being Mental Health Awareness Month, it is all of us have mental health, and so that looks different for every person, and how we take care of that. And so I'm just sometimes that just never really goes away in kind of my world because I work in it all day, and then when I go home, I'm like, oh, I need to take care of me, and so what does that look like?
Yes.
And figuring that out. So it's been quite a journey, and I'm very pleased with my decision that I'd made to go into counseling and therapy, and am hopeful to the new opportunities that it may even bring, and just even more self-confidence and more self-worth for myself from having completed my licensure process. So
yeah,
I'm excited about that.
Seeing a light at the end of the tunnel type thing.
Yes.
And it feels like a long tunnel sometimes. Whenever I did my 3 years of classes and then plus my internship, and on top of it was a couple of years of classes plus internship plus the undergraduate. My grandmother said, "Well, Tammy Lynn, I think you could have been a doctor by now." I said, "Well, Mama, you're probably right. I could have been." But we are required to do a lot of hours and a lot of classes. But I think that gives more honor to the profession. It's not a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, get those courses done and then jump in the seat and start helping people. Because what I noticed is that as soon as someone knows that you're even in counseling courses, all of a sudden you're elevated. And they have expectations, and they give you a lot of power in their mind, and that's to be taken very seriously.
Right.
So, and here in Bahrain, a lot of people have never heard of a therapist or a counselor. If you don't say psychology, they don't understand what you're talking about, and so it's always the dance of I've got to let you. You're asking me what I do. I want you to know, but I have to make sure you know I'm not a psychologist. When they don't really care about what the name of it is. They just want to know what you do. So as far as me, I don't think I've ever regretted. In fact, I know I have never regretted the decision to go into this field. What I've done let's see, I received my license in 98. And so what I did was, no, 95.